What is up, people? This is the Oracle. We are back online for a new Aether Revolt draft. Pack is interesting. I haven't played with or against Aether Windbasker yet. Maybe because it was just stuck on my opponent's hand, but I never seen that thing being cast yet. It's powerful though. I mean, obviously, if your opponent doesn't have the Revolt, they will die very quickly, as not many things will be able to block that. It seems like a powerful card. I kind of want to try it out. Other than that, I think the best card in the pack is just Daring Demolition, followed by Chandra's Revolution. The uncommon are fine, but weaker than the two common Revolt, which are probably the two best common in the set. I could see Daring Demolition being better than Basker, but since I haven't played with Basker and it seems like a pretty fun card, I'm willing to pick it and try it out. It's a lot of mana though. I'm pretty sure that Daring Demolition is better, but for the sake of testing and having fun, we'll be playing with the huge Lizard. I guess Prey Upon is good with Basker. As far as big creatures goes, this one is pretty large. Implement of Ferocity is also pretty good. I think the pick is as a Chaser though. Card is great, and it's just the best card in the pack. It also, works with energy, so we could have some type of sweet red-green energy deck maybe. Not a huge concern because both cards are good on their own. They don't need other cards to be good, but it's interesting. Yeah, I think Chaser is good enough that I'm gonna pick it over a green card. Yeah. Alright, interesting stuff here. So there's Invigorated Rampage, which is... I thought the card was really bad, and the more I've played with or against it, the more I think it's good. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's fine. It's probably at its best in red-green, actually, because your creatures are quite large. It's also pretty good with First Striker. So that could be decent. The other option, I think, is either Herder, which is fine, but not super exciting. Replaceable. The issue if I pick Rampage now is if I don't end up with enough creature, that could be clunky. So in general, when I'm playing red-green or any type of aggressive deck, I try to prioritize creatures over trick, because if you get a little bit too many tricks and not enough creatures, things get clunky quite quickly. Two best cards in this pack, I think, are as a Swooper and as a Poisoner. I really like these two quite a lot, especially the Swooper. But I think I'll pick the Rampage because it's uncommon and pretty good. And here I'll pick Shock. I would be happy adding either Herder or Leopard to my deck, but Shock is fine. Alright, another Shock. Don't mind picking that here. Red seems open. I mean, it's early in the draft, but when you get pick 4 Shock into pick 5 Shock, it's a good sign. Alright, probably just gonna pick Pima as a Seer. Gross is fine, but the deck where you will have the most Revolt, I think, is either green-white or green-black. I think it's not as important in green-red unless we want to splash for things. So I'm gonna pick as a Seer, which I think is a fine creature and works pretty well with the couple other energy creatures I have right now. And we got a Herder anyways, which I'm happy with. Definitely like that more than Rebel or Hidden Herbalist. That's a decent start. I feel like Basker is probably better in a green-blue deck, where you are a bit slower and you want to go to the late game, because I'm not sure how often my deck will actually get to 7 mana. Because it's looking pretty aggressive right now, but we'll see. Alright, at least the colors we are in seems open. That's really rid of the coal. There's two implements in our color. I'm gonna pick the board though. The card is very good. Interesting. The Spire Patrol Wield. I feel like it was among the best cards after Chandra's Revolution and Daring Demolition. I don't mind picking Verdant Automaton, even though it's probably slightly better in black-green than in red-green. It's a playable 2-drop. A card I would pretty much never play 2 off, unless I have a ton of Improvise or some real 6 synergies with counter, because once you have 2 on the battlefield it's quite clunky, but 1 is fine. Okay, I'll pick the Herbalist. Not thrilled about that, but if I need some 2-drop, it's gonna do the job. But hopefully I can get some better 2-drops. So we have 2 shock, a couple 2-drops, a couple 4-drop, and a Basker lying on the top of the curve. Not sure where this will lead us, but yeah, probably some type of aggressive deck with some energy shenanigans. Again, I'm not sure how good the Basker will be in this deck, but we'll see. Guess there's a chance I play that, but hopefully I get better 3-drop. Not a huge fan of that card, but I don't really see myself ever playing 2 guards, so might as well take 1 of each. Either way, this is 10 cards I'm fairly happy to play. Though I guess I'm not super happy to play Automaton and Herbalist, so it's more like 8. But still, it's not looking like we'll be missing playables. At least not now. Not now. I might just pick Lifecraft Cavalry. We already have a fair amount of 4-drops, and I think getting 4-drop is not too hard. Getting a good 5 is kinda nice though. I think the other option is Welder Automaton, which is a good 2-drop. Brawler is cool, but I don't think we'll have enough artifact to make it a 3-drop often. And again, I don't really want to stack too many 4-drops. I think whatever I end up doing, and I mean, even if I don't see many 4-drops, I think I'll still end up with 5 4-drops at the end of the draft. There's really a ton of 4-drop in this color combination, so I don't really want to overload on this slot, and I'd rather pick a 5 or 2-drop. Cavalry is slightly more powerful. Automaton is safer, I guess. I think I'll pick Automaton actually. I want to make sure I have enough 2-drops. Artifacts are important to some decks, and getting a 5-drop, even if it's weaker than a Cavalry, if it ends up being, I don't know, a Wayward Giant or something like that, it should not be too hard. Definitely picking Revolution here, like that way more than Herder, Brawler, or Automaton. I'd be super happy if I could wheel one of the 3, or one of the 2 from the last pack. Alright, interesting. I think it's between Renegade and Cavalry. For the same reason I like this more than Brawler. I mean the same reason I mentioned before. Druid is fine, but well, I guess it gets slightly better once you have a card like Basker in your deck, but I think I still like the 2 other cards more. And I'm gonna go with Renegade. I really like that card. It's cheap. It can deal a couple damage early on, then trade with something bigger. It's pretty good. And I'm gonna remove my removal to have a better look at what my creature curve actually looks like. Yeah, there's really a ton of 4-drop, and I'm pretty sure I'm wheeling one of the other Aether Herder. I think we've seen that's probably the 5th or 6th one we've seen this draft. I really feel like some of them will wheel, so I'm kind of tempted to pick a 3-drop instead, because I'm sure I'm gonna get some back, especially since someone took 2 out of the first pack, and I guess they are not as interested in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th one. And I don't really want to end up with a curve that's super clunky. That being said, the Herder is much better than Rebel or Mobile Garrison, so there is that. I don't actually mind playing Rebel. I think I like that card more than most people, but it's definitely weaker than Herder. But since I think I'm willing some 1 or 2 Herder, and since I don't want to make my curve too clunky, and since I already have a decent amount of 4-drop, I'm gonna pick the weaker card. Well, in general, I like Implement more than Druid, especially when I'm playing black-green, but here, as we'll probably end up with a lot of 4-drop, and we have a Basker, I think the Druid is actually quite valuable. Also, it looks like I have a decent amount of 2-drops, but actually, there's only 3 I'm happy to play. Like, if I can cut the Automaton and the Herbalist, I'd be happy. Alright, interesting. So we have Growth if we want to splash for stuff. Obsolescence for the side. I don't think it should be the pick, though. And Implement, which I don't think is actually the pick either, as we don't have an improvised card, and I don't think we are wheeling any of the Sweatwork Brawler. We might wheel some of the Herder again, but not the Brawler, I don't think so. I'm gonna pick Growth. If I get something sweet to splash for, it's nice. It also works well with Renegade, so why not? Alright, I think I like Welder Automaton here. Again, Implement is good, but just having solid creatures on the curve is really what you want to be doing, in especially in red-green, I think. Alright, this time I might pick the Implement, though. Interesting, though. Yeah, it's probably the Implement. Alright, do we pick some more fixing or a card we could want to splash? I think it's the card we could want to splash. And interestingly enough, it looks like none of the 4-drop I was expecting to wield. So, yeah, I mean, there's maybe a drafter with 5 Aether Herder in their deck, or one drafter with 3 and another with 2. I don't really mind that. The card is fine. It's just a fine filler. And again, I still think we'll get enough 4-drop at the end of the day. And even if we don't get more, 3 is like fine. But yeah, I was hoping that I did not really expect that they would all wheel, but I thought one would wheel. Pretty happy to get an Obsolescence for my side. The good news now is that I don't really need many other 2-drop. If I get a good 2-drop, I will pick it, but I don't really need it, especially since I can still play the Herbalist if I need to. I could use slightly more Removal, but I already have a bit of Removal. Deck is shipping up well. Definitely like where we are right now. Alright, very powerful pack for us and for everyone, I guess. Ton of things. So I definitely like Harness Lightning more than Servant of the Conduit, despite liking Servant a lot. And I also like Renegade Freighter more than Servant in this specific spot, as I don't have a ton of 3-drop, and I do have a fair amount of 2-drops. So the pick, I think, is between Lightning and Freighter. And it's quite close. Yeah, it's really close. I don't know. Key to the City is powerful too, but I don't think it's as powerful as the 2 other options. Freighter is looking really good here because we are lacking 3-drop and we are aggressive. Now, Harness Lightning is pretty much the best removal you can get. I'm gonna go with Lightning. Not sure if it's right, but I can definitely use a little bit more removal, and it's a good one. I'm gonna pick Reprisal. Probably like that card more than most people, and I already have 2 shocks, but I think I can use that. And the other options are 2-drop, which I don't really need. If there was a good 4 or 3-drop I could pick, I would probably pick it over Reprisal, but here I'm happy enough to pick that. And now I'm gonna pick Welding Spark. Alright, we are looking good in the removal department, so now we just need a couple creatures to complete this deck, and we should be good, right? If I only get removal in the next few pack, I'm going to regret picking Harness Lightning over the Freighter, but yeah, I mean, when I picked the Lightning, I did not have that much removal. At least a lot of removal means we are more likely gonna hit. I mean, the more removal you have, the more you are able to stall a game, and the more likely you'll be to cast something like a 7-drop. So I don't really mind having a ton of removal. This pack is gorgeous. I'd be happy to add Chief of the Foundry, Monitor, Brawler, and Stoker to my deck. I'm gonna pick Stoker. but good lord. And I don't think we are willing anything. Maybe the Brawler? That'd be amazing, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't think it. I mean, I guess it's a league, so no one should be counter drafting. So we could will the Brawler. I don't think any of these guys are willing. I wish this pack was a bit early. In the I don't know, in the draft sequence, if you will. This way I would have more chance to wheel stuff, but as it is, I'm not sure we'll get anything. Alright, Doorbuster or Infiltrator. Hundowick is good, but I don't think we need Removal at that point. And Disintegration, yeah, I don't think we'll be trying to splash for that. Again, we don't really need Removal. I think Doorbuster is slightly stronger, but I need 3 drop more than 4 drops, so I'm gonna go with the Infiltrator. Don't mind adding a Seed Sculptor to my deck. We have a couple artifacts. And since we have a lot of 2 drops, I'm pretty sure Quicksmith Genius is gonna be better than Cobra. Even though in general I like Cobra slightly more. Nothing I really care about here. Puzzle Knot is really nice for the side. That's a very tidy conclusion. And I think this was the pack with... No, never mind. It's the next pack where I might wheel something. And yeah, we did not wheel anything. Alright, oh well. I'm not gonna splash for Rallier. I don't think I need to do that. It's gonna make my deck a little bit less consistent. I don't really want that. And I don't see any reason to play Gross. I mean, I have Renegade, but I don't think it's a good enough reason. So... yeah, the deck is probably just gonna be that. Now... well, it's clunky because I have a very small curve. I mean, yeah. I can cast pretty much anything with 4, except for the Basker, which is kinda clunky. Deck is good. There's a bunch of Removal, some powerful creatures. I don't feel too bad. There's just a slight curve issue. And playing 17 lands plus the Druids is quite risky. Well, I guess we have 3 automatons, so we do have a fair amount of mana sinks plus the Stoker plus the Basker, so maybe it's fine. A little bit clunky. Maybe I should play a guard over a land and play 16 lands plus the Druid, and the Basker is potentially gonna be stuck in my hand a lot of the time. Not thrilled about that either. I think it'd be wrong to cut the Basker. I mean, card is powerful enough to put it in the deck, even if you're mostly put it in the deck so you can have a random good top deck if you flood out a little bit. So I don't know. 17 or 16 land. I think 16 plus a Druid is not... well, again, I have those mana sinks. I'll try 17, but if I end up flooded, yeah, it might be wrong. It's close. So clunky that we have a little bit of green, but we need our green pretty early, and we have the Basker, which is triple green. Yeah, 10-7. Yeah, alright. I'll try that out. We'll see how it goes. No, actually I'm gonna cut a mountain for the guard, I think. I don't think it's too greedy. The curve is really low except for the Basker. We have a Druid. I think this is a 16 land deck. Alright, so that's gonna be the deck. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the draft. Drop a like if it's the case, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content, and I see you for round 1.